Hola, hola a todos. It's tu prima favorita, Bobby here, and welcome to the Cousins Corner if you are new here. If you are not new here, welcome back. I'm tu prima favorita, Bobby, and I just like to talk, and I'm gonna hop right into it. Today's video is about walking away sooner. You need to be so wrapped up in yourself and your self-respect that you are ready to walk away from the first sign of disrespect. Walk away from the first sign of disrespect. Walk away from the first sign of disruption in your nervous system. Walk away from the first sign of this ain't it and this ain't what I want. And I don't want to sit here and act like that this is just a black and white thing where it's just like it either is or it isn't. I know that there is a lot of nuance, especially when you're dealing with emotions, when you're dealing with your connection and relationships to other people. But you have to understand that yourself is your top priority. I understand that some of these connections come with soul ties. Some of these connections are tied to our desires. Some of these connections are tied to beliefs or things that we've wanted for so long, or things that we finally feel like that we've gotten our hands on. But also a lot of us just staying or sticking around or trying to stick it out or trying to hold on to things and people and opportunities or situations or connections that no longer serve us also stem from places of trauma. They stem from places of lack. They stem from places of limiting beliefs. And it is very, very important to really dig deep to understand, am I holding on to this person out of fear? Am I holding on to this person out of an attachment wound? Am I holding on to this thing out of being afraid to step into the unknown, being afraid to be lonely again, being afraid to feel like I'm failing, being afraid to feel like I lost, or being afraid to feel like I have been rejected? Or is this really something that's truly worth holding on to? And a lot of times I feel like we find ourselves in positions where we don't even want to face those thoughts. We don't even want to face the possibility of this could be something that I'm holding on to because there's a deeper problem there, or because there's a deeper feeling, or there's a deeper thing or root that I'm not dealing with. This just suffices in the meantime. A lot of times we stick around for certain situations, or like I said, certain connections, certain opportunities, because we feel like, well, I worked so hard and I got here, so this has to be it. Sometimes I know even for me, just personal experience, I've had limiting beliefs about certain things where I felt like I needed to fight. And so when I get into fight mode, when I get into chase mode, when I get into I have to win this thing mode, I would kick into overdrive, and I'm like, I gotta hold on to this. I have to fight for this. I have to prove to that trauma response, or to that attachment wound, or to those limiting beliefs that I can win. And a lot of times it's not worth it. It's not worth trying to win. You win and you keep this person in your life. You win and you keep holding on to this job. You win and you stay in this situation where you feel like you're stuck and you're on a hamster wheel of just being anxious and triggered and unhappy. And then what? You are doomed to repeat the cycle all over again, either in that same situation or with a new one, until you really get to the root of what is going on. I'm kind of trailing off topic here. I want to bring it back into the fact that you need to be so wrapped up in yourself and what it is that you see for your future, what it is that you want out of life, what it is that you want out of feelings, what it is that you want out of connections, what it is that you want out of relationships, what it is that you want out of professions, what it is that you want out of yourself. You need to be so tied to that somebody else not being there, yeah, it might make you feel sad, yeah, it might hurt a little bit, but your presence in my life is not more important than my self-preservation. And then I say that to say that I understand that walking away won't always be easy, but you have to love yourself more than you loved those feelings that this experience has brought you, more than you love those temporary moments of happiness or those temporary moments of bliss. You have to love yourself more than what those things meant to you. Another way to think about it is desiring peace over having something. And this kind of goes into specifically certain connections that you might have with people that might stir up certain feelings in you. They might trigger your attachment style or trigger your attachment wounds, and you have to want peace over wanting someone. And I understand that in this day and age, these loneliness epidemics, or just finding somebody, or whatever the case may be, it can be crazy out here. It can feel really, really hard when you found something and you feel like you've connected, or you've grounded, or you become soul tied to this thing or this person, or whatever the case may be. But you have to understand that someone or something that is meant to be in your life, that is meant to be for you, will bring you peace. It won't be your peace, but it will not disturb it. And that doesn't mean that you'll never have disagreements. That doesn't mean that you'll never have conflict. But if you're finding yourself over and over and over again feeling in a constant state of rage, a constant state of anger, a constant state of confusion, a constant state of anxious, and just not at ease, then that is something that you need to reevaluate about that situation. Is this really for me? Something that is really for me is not going to have me going to bed every night, biting down to the bottom of my fingernails, wondering about this thing, being anxious about this thing, waking up the next day with this being the only thing on my brain. I can't function. I'm stressed. I can't eat. I can't sleep. I don't want to go anywhere. I'm feeling depression. That is not something that needs to be in your life, and that is not something that is worth you fighting for. You need to value peace over whatever that thing is. Another thing that kind of makes it easier to understand this is realize that patterns don't lie. If you're finding yourself in this loop, let's say if we're talking about a person or a connection, you're finding yourself in a loop with this person. They keep doing the same thing. Maybe they apologize. Maybe they fix it for 2 weeks and then they go back. Maybe they don't care and they just keep doing whatever it is that they're doing. Maybe they say that they're trying to do better, but you're still feeling the anxiety, and you're still feeling the sadness, and you're still being triggered. You have to understand that patterns do not lie. They're called patterns for a reason. They continue to repeat themselves. And until you break free of this thing, until you realize that this is not where I need to be, I need to get up and go, and then go do the further work to figure out why is it that I stuck around for that, or why is it that I put up with that or stayed in that, so that you don't repeat it, because patterns tend to repeat themselves. The last thing that I'm going to throw in here, and I've said it in a video before, is that waiting it out does not guarantee you anything. And this is to my women's, mis mujeres. I know that a lot of us, especially depending on which culture or cultures you are a part of, we have been indoctrinated. It has been ingrained in us to be strong soldiers, to stick it out, to wait it out, to fight, to just stand strong and be that rock. And sometimes rocks fall. Sometimes rocks go tumbling down the hill. Heck, sometimes rocks break. You can't be a rock for somebody who is not being a rock for you. Someone who is not trying to be that boulder of protection for you. You can't put yourself out there like that. I'm gonna make another video about this, but I feel that there is a shift, and there's a shift in how just women in general, how we are starting to prioritize ourselves. How you can call it selfish, but being selfish is not a bad thing. It's actually a form of self-preservation. Now, there's levels to it, there's nuance to it, but putting yourself first above all else, granted it might look different if you have children or things like that, but putting yourself first in regards to these types of situations of being prepared to walk away, it's always going to serve you better. Waiting it out is not going to do anything but break you down even more, make you even more tired, make you even more bitter, make you even more fatigued, make you even more less of a person than yourself. You have to be willing to walk away sooner. And I know that there's a lot of content out there that is online with a lot of women who are talking about their story, and men too, who are talking about their stories, whether it be at the place that they were working at, where, you know, the universe or God was telling them to leave, telling them to move, and they were not being obedient. And so all of these things kept happening. All of these patterns kept repeating themselves. All of this fatigue, this stress, losing hair, crazy things happening that they couldn't explain until they finally got up and removed themselves from the situation. Those things happen. The universe is always talking to us. God is always talking to us. Whatever it is that you believe in, whoever it is that you believe in, is always giving you signs of whether you are in a place where you're supposed to be, whether you are moving towards the place that you're supposed to be, or whether you are just off the track altogether. And you have to learn to pay attention with that. And some of those signs come in the form of people, come in the form of jobs, come in the form of situations, come in the form of feelings. And so that is why when something doesn't sit right with you, when something is not improving, when you've had conversations, or you've tried to adjust, or you've tried to wait it out, you've tried to make things better, you tried to work things through, learn how to walk away. Because if you don't, 5, 10, 15, 20, 50 years down the line, you're going to be looking back like, I should have walked away sooner. And that is a story that you do not have to have if you learn to value yourself more than you value that person, then you value that connection, then you value that situation, then you value that opportunity, then you value whatever it is that is keeping you bound in that place where you know that you're not supposed to be. Anyway, let me not get to preaching. That is just my little 2 cents. I don't know why that word was put on my heart, but somebody needs to hear it. So if you like the video, please like the video, hit that thumbs up. Please feel free to share with whoever you feel needs to hear it as well. Compartir with your friends, con tus amigos, con tus primos, with your family, with yourself. Save it for later and watch it over. Also, please drop your comments down below, because I love to engage with y'all. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Again, this is tu prima favorita, Bobby. Thank you for joining me today in the Cousins Corner, and I will see you next time. Bye.